Okay. Notice is hereby given to the City Council Committee on Community Economic Development, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. A meeting on Tuesday, February 15, 2022 at 6 p.m. via remote participation in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Act of 2021 for the purpose of taking action on the matter listed below. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means in the event that we are unable to do so on a matter not requiring a public hearing. We will post on the City of Salem website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Individuals might participate remotely in the meeting via a remote participation platform called Zoom. Members of the public and or parties we are right and or required to attend this meeting might access the remote participation meeting throughout any one of the following way. Please click the link below to join in the meeting with password 442034, or go to the website link at www.zoom.us join and enter the webinar ID 841-9201-0342, followed by the meeting password about if necessary. Or by telephone, participant can dial a toll-free number at 1-888-475-4499 or at 877-853-5257 to join the meeting. When prompted, enter the webinar ID 841-9201-0342 and follow the instruction to join the meeting. The City Council Committee on Community and Economic Development, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, meet remotely via Zoom on today, Tuesday, February 15, 2022 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the matter listed below. Notice that in this meeting was posted on February 11, 2022 at 9:25 a.m. In attendance to the meeting, we have the whole committee on the entire, and we have Councilor Varela, Councilor Morcillo, Councilor Pronowski, and Councilor Cohen. And we also have the program director from the Youthbuild, Michael Keeley, who we had the presentation today. We will allow the public to comment and question. Right after, immediately we hear from the committee members and the Committee of the Whole. At the time, we will open up to the public. But first, we wanted to start by this presentation by hearing from Michael Keeley, the program director from CDC of Youthbuild, who actually are welcome among us to do the presentation. Michael, as you will, you take the floor and do your presentation.
Thank you, Counselor. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me share my screen so y'all can see my presentation, and just I want to go into present mode here. So a little different on Google Slides. I thought I was going to know what to do right away, and now I'm embarrassed where present mode is on Google Slide. Sorry about that. That's not it. Oh man. Maybe somebody knows that can help me out.
Mr. Quigley, try
right
the
here.
slideshow.
There we go. I found it. All is well. So again, I'm Mike Quigley. I am the program director for Youthbuild North Shore in Salem, Mass. We're housed by the North Shore CDC right on Lafayette Street. And so Youthbuild North Shore empowers young adults with the competencies and desire to transform their lives and improve their communities through education, employment, and leadership development. So we are a workforce development program. As I just mentioned, the North Shore Community Development Coalition, who houses us, our mission is to invest in neighborhoods to create thriving communities. And so just a little bit about the North Shore CDC, which I'm sure you're all extremely familiar with. We carry 40 years of collective experience and successful community investment on the North Shore. And some of the work we do is affordable housing, neighborhood revitalization, community engagement, resources for families, youth programs like Youthbuild and our summer works program with Stan through the Career Center, and public art and placemaking. And so what is Youthbuild? So Youthbuild began in East Harlem, New York during the late 1970s. So this photo here was at our State House Day several years ago, pre-COVID. And so this was at an event where we were advocating for state funding for the Youthbuild program, as we're on the DESE line item with the state of Massachusetts with 11 other Youthbuild programs. And we split that money. This person here in the middle, this is Dorothy Stoneman. She was the founder of the original Youthbuild program in East Harlem. She has since retired, but the story, it really goes that she was teaching a GED class in East Harlem during a time where, you know, that part of the city was going through some really tough times. There were a lot of homelessness. They were dealing with a lot of vacant buildings. And the young people in her program, they had a project to work on where they discussed, you know, what do we want to do with the vacant buildings in our community? And they came up with a discussion to rebuild them for the people who lived in that community. And that's where the idea of Youthbuild came from. So we're one of 273 Youthbuild programs in the country in 46 states. And as you can see, we're also an international program, an international entity. Youthbuild has programs in Canada, South Africa, Israel, Haiti, in Mexico. So really all over. And so Youthbuild North Shore, where we fall into, we're one of 11 programs in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts has the second highest number of programs in the United States. The programs are located in Boston, Cambridge, Lawrence, Brockton, New Bedford, Lowell, Quincy, Worcester, Fall River, Springfield, and out here in the North Shore. We're the youngest program in Massachusetts as we opened our doors in 2013. We primarily serve the Salem community and Lynn as far as young people who join our program. And we've also been an award-winning program. So on a previous slide, I showed you there were 272 programs in the country. In the last couple of years, we were awarded as one of the best programs in the country and recognized for the work we're doing in the North Shore, which was really a big deal for us and an awesome accomplishment. And last year, 100% of our graduates were placed in meaningful employment or post-secondary education. And so some of our Salem graduates from our community have also gone on to college. So, you know, just an example, Stephanie Tejada, who graduated our program 2 years ago, she went on to a Medi-Clerk program through North Shore Community College, where she's working in the healthcare industry right now. So there's a lot of Salem youth who, you know, may have not been successful going through the Salem public schools. And when they were out of school, found our program, we were able to reconnect with them and help them to gain their goals and move on to successful next steps. And the Youthbuild program model, right here in the middle, it goes into the vocational trainings that we offer. So the history behind Youthbuild has always been construction. So all Youthbuild programs have a construction component, and that component involves building affordable housing in areas that need them. So we're warehoused by the North Shore CDC. We've been working on their projects for a long time, and some other Salem partners that we've done some construction with recently that I'm going to go into in this presentation. So our young people in the construction component, they build affordable housing, and they also earn industry recognized certificates. And in our nursing program, this is relatively new. We have a partnership with North Shore Community College, where young people who join our program are enrolled with us to get their high school equivalency diploma, while they're also co-enrolled at the community college at the same time to get their licensure as a certified nursing assistant, with the hope that they'll stay in college to earn stackable credentials within healthcare to find a fruitful career in that industry. And then to the left is our career readiness. We have a career coach on staff that helps with employment, post-secondary education, and the success skills needed to advance in careers. And we have our classroom education. So primarily most Youthbuild members, over 90% of our members, have dropped out of high school. So they come to our program for their high school equivalency training, some college preparation, and then literacy and numeracy remediation to prepare them for the workforce. Case management is really the backbone of what we do here. So life coaching is what we call it, where young people are assigned a life coach while they're in the program that they meet with bi-weekly to go over goal planning, life skills development, and to achieve self-sufficiency. And then we're an AmeriCorps program. So our young people are quarter-time AmeriCorps members. So community service is a big part of what we do in the Youthbuild program, with the opportunity to earn a scholarship for college once the young person completes their 450 hours of service. So just a little bit more detail about the program components. In our education class, we teach the core subjects that somebody would need to pass their high school equivalency diploma test, the HiSET exam. So that would be math, science, English, social studies, writing. And we provide a college readiness class every Friday, as well as we're trying to ensure that some young people come to our program, they don't know that they have the ability to go to college until they are with us and they realize that, I am really smart. There was just some circumstances in the past that made it impossible for me to really tap into my knowledge and to the skills that I already have. So over 10% of our student body does enroll in college, which is a pretty high percentage compared to other Youthbuild programs across the network. We do have small group and individualized tutoring. So if you're ever interested in being a tutor, feel free to contact us. We have a diverse group of tutors in age and race and backgrounds, which is awesome. And it makes a big difference in the lives of these young people to have somebody that they can connect with one-on-one to help them prepare for college or to pass their exam. We do go on monthly college tours, which is part of our college advancement. And then 90% of our young people pass the HiSET. So that's a really high percentage. The national average is actually in the 40% of people who pass a HiSET exam when they take the test. So we have a strong structure in place to ensure that our young people are leaving with their high school credential while they're in our program. And then vocational training and construction is it's a big part of what we do. It's a big part of being in Youthbuild. So as I said earlier, you do earn a industry recognized certificate in construction. It's a National Center for Construction and Education Research certification. Looks great on a resume, and it gives you a hand up in the industry with the training that's provided through that curriculum. The OSHA 10 certification is a part of our curriculum as well. And we build affordable housing and rehab affordable housing. And most recently, we just completed a project here in Salem on Rainbow Terrace through a partnership with the Salem Housing Authority. So it was a 2-bedroom apartment that needed to be renovated. And what's really special about it is over the last 2 years due to COVID, we weren't on a housing site. We just had small construction projects. So this was our first housing project in a long time. We were excited to be there and it worked out great. We got the apartment ready in less than a month. We repainted, redid all the floors, the cabinets, the doors, and the family's moving in there this month. It was a family that didn't have a home. And that's what Youthbuild's all about. And some other projects that we've completed in Salem that were really impactful is we helped to build the apartments at Harbor Crossing. And of course, those apartments are put aside for young adults who are experiencing homelessness. So many of those apartments now are actually being lived in by current Youthbuild members in our program or alumni who are going to college or working in their first career, so they can have an affordable unit until they can move out and buy their own place one day. So we're really proud that Youthbuild was able to help build those apartments. We've also done some apartment rehabs on Ward Street, Lafayette Street, and Congress Street out here in Salem. So we've been very active with construction in the community. And then, as I mentioned earlier, nursing is new. even though we've had it for 2 years, it still feels new because I've been in the Youthbuild network for 13 years myself. But there's a need for it. There's a huge need for CNAs in particular. That's why we thought this was a great opportunity for us to figure out how we could provide this training to our young people. And partly as well, a lot of our young people in the past were coming to us and joining the program, and they were doing the program, but they really weren't interested in construction. And they were doing the construction because they loved Youthbuild. And so many of those young people came to us and were saying, we really want a career in healthcare. And when they were leaving our program, we were connecting them to other training programs and decided we just got to do this ourselves. So Felicia Pierce, the Chief Program Officer for the North Shore CDC, worked with North Shore Community College in creating an MOU. This is over a year of planning and putting this together. And now we have a robust healthcare class taught at the college. Our young people are co-enrolled in college while at Youthbuild. It was a really awesome opportunity for them. It's provided to 10 youth every year get to do this. Everything's paid for, their college classes, their uniforms. And we have a high success rate. So far, we've had 20 young people go through this class and 19 graduated the class. So we're really proud of that. And we look forward to doing this for many years. We have another CNA cohort starting on March 21st. And we're really excited for the next 10 young people to take advantage of this opportunity to go to college while in Youthbuild. And then just a little bit more about our other components. Our Civic Engagement class is taught weekly, and this is something we take extremely serious. We definitely want to connect young people to government and how it works. And when I first started in the Youthbuild network, the class was always taught about the federal government and how the federal government works, which is really important. But what we try to get across to our young people is that real change is made at the local level. And local politics impacts our lives more than anything, because those are decisions that are made right on our front steps. And so we're trying to teach our young people, how do you get involved locally? How do you use your voice to power, your idea to power? And how do you make sure that you're addressing systems of oppression to make a positive change in your community? And I do think our curriculum is fluid. It's always developing to the times as things come up. But I love that. I love how, this curriculum develops with our program. And we have a very diverse program in age and ethnicity in the staff, as well as the young people. It's a real reflection of Salem, if you think about it, and Lynn. And so we have to really be involved in what's happening on the ground day to day, so our young people can be part of that change. And hopefully one of them are going to run for a seat, in the Salem Council one day, or for school committee. That's the dream for Youthbuild. And excuse me, leadership development and future success. So future success is a workforce development class. That's what it is. And leadership development is a core part of that curriculum, as we're trying to help young people to be leaders in the workforce. So while we're working on all the success skills for that, we're also trying to create people who know how to speak up at meetings, who can present in front of a large group, so they can bring all these skills and move up once they get hired somewhere and to stay there for a long period of time. So once a young person's in our program, they may have gotten away with sitting in the back of a classroom in high school and, disappearing in the back. But the expectation is that you're going to stand up front. You're going to sit in the front. You're going to get called on. And we're going to really make sure that you're working on these skills so you can advocate for yourself when you're employed one day, that you know how to call out of work properly, that you know how to ask for a raise, you know how to request vacation time, you know how to navigate systems. It's one thing to have the hard skills and to have those certificates. It's another thing to have the soft skills, because it's the success skills that get you fired if you don't have them. So we really focus in hard on that to develop young leaders. And part of that is connecting to the opportunities right here in Salem through the North Shore CDC. So I'm sure you're all aware of the Puto Urban Arts Museum and the great work the North Shore CDC does with bringing art to the Point neighborhood, and also other parts of the city, and expanding outside of Salem with some of our artwork. The great thing about being Youthbuild at the North Shore CDC is that our young people can tap into that, that they want it, so they give opportunities to young artists. Most recently, Tatiana Rivas, a Salem resident who just graduated our program, she was able to paint a mural and put her work out there right on Peabody Street. She's been part of other projects with our Puto Urban Arts Museum, which is terrific for her because she's an artist and she's extremely talented. And it was nice that we could tap into that part of her. And she was also a CNA graduate. And then Catherine Castillo, a graduate from 2017 or 18, her mural's on a building right on Ward Street. If you go on Ward Street, you can see a Youthbuild graduate's face looking down on her neighborhood that she still invests in now. As a graduate of Youthbuild, she worked for us for 2 years in AmeriCorps Vista, and now she's running our Vita Tax program for the North Shore CDC. So we empowered that young person, and we're extremely proud of her success. And part of the reason we have that success at Youthbuild is the life coaching and case management. It's great that we have the education class and their 90% high step passing rate. It's great we have the construction and the work that they do, but none of that's possible if we didn't have strong, comprehensive case management. Young people have barriers to their success that are real. It could be homelessness, it could be criminal backgrounds, it could be neighborhoods that are suffering, it could be lack of family support. There's a lot that goes into a young person not being successful in high school, socioeconomical statuses. And when they come to Youthbuild, we need to build that trust with them that they can trust us and that they understand that we respect them and that we're building a place where they can feel loved and trusted. And our life coaches and their approach is a big part of building that trust with the young person and allowing them to express to us, here are the things I struggle with. How can you help me? And then we can develop a plan with them so they can overcome those struggles and learn as an adult how I can do this stuff on my own. So good comprehensive life coaching and case management, I believe for young people is important in the high schools and any Youthbuild program that you'll go to. And an attachment to our life coaching is we actually have a life skills group, which is taught by social work, master's degree level social work staff that we have. And the life skills group was developed as an extension to life coaching to go over some things that young people may need to work on. So for example, how to keep clean hygiene. We have on site, we have a washer and dryer that we can provide to our young people so they can do laundry. And if you work in construction, your laundry is going to be dirty all the time. So they have the opportunity to bring that in and keep their stuff clean. But some of them don't know how to do that. So that could be an example of a life skills class. I don't know if any of you went to college. I'm sure most of you did. But when I went to college, my mother was doing it for me prior to that for 18 years. And I didn't know how. So that class would have been probably good for me before I went to St. Joseph's College in Maine. And then an extension of our Youthbuild program is our Young Parents program. So our Young Parents program is for young parents who have a cash case open with the Department of Transitional Assistance. So if you're 16 to 24 years old and you meet that age bracket as a Youthbuild member and you're a young parent, DTA will give a referral to our program. And then we have an extension of Youthbuild specific for young parents. So not only will they be in the Youthbuild program, they'll have specialized classes for them where we'll go over, we have young parenting groups where they talk about, shared struggles or some funny stories about their children. And it's a support network. And also the great thing about it is DTA pays for childcare while that mother or that father comes to our program. So that takes away the burden of worrying about who can babysit your child while you're going to this Youthbuild program. And I have a 3-year-old. So I know how hard it is for me in the structure I have in my life to work with a 3-year-old at home. So just imagine being a young person without a high school diploma trying to navigate these situations. So I feel like the young parent program in our community is extremely important for those young parents who need that structure in their lives. And we are an AmeriCorps program. So what that means is we have funding from AmeriCorps for 25 youth a year to serve their community 450 hours as quarter-time AmeriCorps members. And through that service, they earn a scholarship to college. And this beautiful picture here was from our service day at Martin Luther King Day several years ago at my brother's table in Lynn. Something we do every year. We go back there and we serve the community. Actually now for a week, we celebrate his legacy and his excellence and his the importance of service and improving our neighborhoods. And, you know, most recently, we've completed some service projects right out here in Salem. At Mack Park in Salem, we built them their sign out in front of their farm. We go to Mary Jane Lee Park in the spring and summer, basically once a month to clean that park up, as it's a place that a lot of young people hang out. So we're always committed to service, and the Salem Food Pantry is a place that we go to often as well. So if you see young people walking around with their Youthbuild sweatshirts in Salem, they're probably doing some sort of service in the community. And I forgot what that educational award was. That it's around $1,500 that they earn for post-secondary education or training. And so we do have also just a vast alumni services in our program. So once in Youthbuild, you're always in the Youthbuild program. And something that we provide to all of our graduates, whether they go to college or the workforce. I'm sorry if you hear my 3-year-old son, he just got home from school. And he sounds very upset right now. We do get them a laptop for college. If you enroll in college, we provide a laptop. And then every semester, if you bring in your report card, we will give you $100. And we also purchase your supplies and books for you. And once you enter the workforce, we also provide young people with a $100 incentive every 3 months if they provide a check stub that they're still working. And young people in our alumni network, they only get those incentives if they attend an alumni meeting. And we have alumni meetings monthly with our young people as a way to keep them connected to the program and a way for them to mentor current Youthbuild members. So some qualifications for Youthbuild. We ask that you be between the ages of 16 and 24. Be committed to obtaining your high-set credential in learning a construction or healthcare trade. Complete a full intake period, which includes a 2-week mental toughness period, and attend courses Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 p.m. Felicia, are you on the call? I just think I have to check on my son. I thought I might have another staff member here. I'm sorry about that. So for more information, we have open houses every Wednesday at 3:30. And we have walk-ins Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4 p.m. And here is our website. So that's the Youthbuild program. One thing I always share, and if I'm able to, I'm gonna share because I think he just quieted down a little bit, is my story in getting into the Youthbuild program. So out of college, I had a degree in secondary education and history. And I grew up in Quincy, Massachusetts. And my plan was always to go back to my high school and teach history because my experience there as a student was incredible. I loved my high school. I loved my community. And I was lucky enough when I graduated that I was offered an opportunity as a basketball coach and a full-time substitute in the history department at Quincy High School, covering for somebody who was out. I forget why they were out. And while I was there, I got a reality check into why my experience was so good compared to maybe other young people in that high school that looked differently than me. Because I saw as a teacher in that school, just the way some people were treated by the way they looked or where they came from. And in the teacher rooms, I heard the way that they talked about some of the students, and it was tragic and it was disheartening for me. And part of my experience as well is they asked me to be in the in-school suspension once a week. And what in-school suspension was a room with no windows, with signs on the wall that said no talking, and the young people were given packets to work on all day. It was miserable. And I never understood, like, when I went in there, why can't we talk? What did I didn't do anything wrong. So I would shut the door and I would tell the young people in there with me, you know, the rule is you can talk to me, talk about music, sports, history, politics, or your schoolwork. And I'd have some conversations. And it was sad because it was the same students in that room with me every time I was there. So for me, that made me realize that these guys were here all the time. And while I was in there was this brilliant young man named Ryan. And I know he was brilliant because as a history major, he could tell me things right out of the textbook. And I was real naive and young back then. And I would make comments to him like, Ryan, you're throwing your life away. Why are you in here? Without understanding the full story of Ryan's life. Ryan's father wasn't around. I don't know where he was. His mother was living in an apartment with him, but she wasn't around either. And daily, he was taking care of 2 younger siblings who were elementary school age. And he was getting them ready for school. And if you have kids, you know how hard that is. As if you heard my son with his transition to coming home here, tying their sneakers, making sure they have their snacks, their homework's done. And so as he's acting as a father at 17 years old, he's showing up late to Quincy High School every day because he's dropping these 2 children off. And the response was to put him in in-school suspension. And unfortunately for the high school, Ryan dropped out. For me, I wasn't asked to come back as a teacher. So I guess I didn't do a good job while I was there. I was young. And when I was unemployed that summer, I was looking for a job on Craigslist back when you did that. This was back in 2009. And my girlfriend, who's my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, she saw a job for Youthbuild Quincy. And it was paying $14 an hour. And I said to her, there's no way I'm applying for that job. And she said, I'm just reading this job description and it speaks to you. She's like, trust me, just apply. So I listened to my wife at a young age, which was probably a really good decision. And when I went to my job interview at Youthbuild Quincy, and I walked into the offices of Youthbuild Quincy for the first time, I saw Ryan. And Ryan was in a shirt and tie. He had been dropped out of high school for maybe 2.5 months. And I said, Ryan, what's going on? It's good to see you. And he said, Mr. Quigley, it's a pleasure to see you as well. He said, I'm on the leadership council here at Youthbuild Quincy. I got my GED. I'm enrolled at Quincy College. But part of my job on the leadership council is I help to interview new staff. And when I saw your resume, I gave you a reference to the program director as I was applying to be a case manager back then. And at that moment, I knew I wanted that job. And the reason I tell that story is because there's so many stories like Ryan and Youthbuild in my 13 years of doing this. I've been with the North Shore CDC for 6 years. I don't plan on ever leaving it. I love my work. I love this community. I love my job. And we've had stories like Ryan with young people right from Salem, as I shared with you today. And this pandemic has been crushing for young people, especially those in our neighborhoods where we don't have access to Wi-Fi. We don't have access to services. And we've seen a lot of young people not return to school. And the reality is, it's hard to track them down sometimes, and they don't know about the power of Youthbuild or the opportunity that we're providing. And my hope for today, and my ask to you, is that you take the information that you got from my presentation, and if you see young people in your community, if you see parents and uncles and brothers and sisters in your community with loved ones who are struggling, who need a program like Youthbuild, that you refer them to us, because I can guarantee you one thing: they may not graduate our program. Not everybody does, but they'll leave better than they can. We have an intentional process in place called mental toughness for any new recruit. It's 2 weeks long. We have to show up on time every day. You have to do homework. You read in front of your peers, and you do a lot of team building activity where these young people realize we're in this situation together, and they break each other down, and they almost become a family. They go through all of that before they're accepted into Youthbuild. And once they're with us, they get paid to go to school. They get a living stipend every 2 weeks for having good attendance. If you show up and do what you're supposed to do, you get it. If you show up and you don't participate, you don't get that stipend. So we're absolutely training them for the workforce. And, I hope that this knowledge was, helpful to you all today. We're right in your community. We love this community. And, I can promise you this is a great program. So thank you for giving me the time to present. And I'm obviously happy to answer any questions as well.
Well, thank you, Mike. I think that was great. Great story. I think that reflects very, very high on our community. At this time, we're going to open it to any members of the committee who have any question or comments. You raise your hand, and then after that, I go for anyone who wanted to have any comments.
And Councillor Watson.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Dominguez, and thank you, Mr. Quigley, for that wonderful presentation. I was lucky enough to speak to one of the board members of North Shore CDC who had explained Youthbuild to me about a year ago, and I've been really impressed with the program all along. I do have a question. I'm curious if there is some way to connect through the public school systems. I know that student privacy information is obviously of the utmost importance, but I also know that when students are not able to return to school or are dropping out, you know, I would hope that Youthbuild is a vehicle for them, and that the public schools are promoting it to their students who they may be losing along the way. Is there any kind of bridging going on there?
Yeah, there is and there isn't. So with the Innovation School, right, in downtown Salem, absolutely. We meet with them bi-weekly. We share updates on students who used to go there that are in Youthbuild now. And we actually partner as well to train the young people at that school in construction. It's something we're working out to do again, where we can provide them some services. Typically in the past, Salem High School guidance counselors have been really good about, you know, sharing information to a young person who's going to drop out of high school. I think I've seen a shift over the last 2 years. I understand it with the pressure of COVID on public schools right now. I have met with the superintendent. I'm meeting with him again next month, just to express that, you know, we're a partner in this. We're not trying to tell young people to drop out of high school. That's a terrible decision. If you can graduate, you should stay. If you passed your MCAS, you should stay, because there's no guarantee you're going to pass the high set. But I don't, like, for example, I've been trying to present to the Salem School Committee, and I haven't had the same experience as I had with you guys, like the excitement to have me on. And I think it's, you know, I feel like maybe not everyone's open to the idea of a Youthbuild program because they want to get people back into the public schools and re-engage the youth. So we have to figure out how we can work together in those efforts, because some of those youth should go back to the public schools and some of them probably should go to Youthbuild.
Yeah, the only reason I wonder if there's a new opportunity, and then I'll be done talking, is that I know that Dr. Zreich has recently been talking about the need to build out their vocational training program at the high school level a bit more. But I know that he'll be the first one to admit that includes specialized trainers to do the teaching, as well as facilities to support it. And that may be a little time away. So I'm curious if there's an opportunity for some kind of vocational training partnership, even in a temporary period, while the high school might be building out their vocational training. Something to discuss. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity to continue partnership without, like you're saying, without any kind of potential mixed message about staying in school.
And that's why I appreciated working with him, because, you know, I left the meeting the first time telling him I'm going to research Youthbuild programs across the country that are doing that. So I did. I researched 5, and I'm bringing that to him next month to see maybe this is something we could do. We could collaborate together. So I think that everybody's kind of thinking, that way.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, he was referencing it recently on the recent NIAC presentation that he did, which is our neighborhood association meeting. He was talking about exactly that. So good luck with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcelo Valera.
Thank you, Chair Domingo, not being a member of the committee. Mr. Quigley, I had a question. Do you feel that your program has enough access to construction projects that at least show, the team of kids you work with, like different skill sets and specialties when it comes to the industry, or is that something you guys are always on the lookout for?
Yeah, so both. We have a lot of access, and we're quite lucky, especially most recently, Steve Sullivan from the Associated Builders and Contractors Association of New England. He has access to over 550 contractors. So whenever there's a work site, we get invited to go on a tour and talk to specialties. And so we actually put an application with him to be a registered pre-apprenticeship program through the Associated Builders and Contractors of Massachusetts. which would in hand connect our youth to more specialized training in carpentry. But it is new and it's something we're still definitely working on. Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you're welcome.
Councilor Merkel.
Oh, she's on mute.
You're mute. You mute yourself.
I am. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, Chair Dominguez. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for the presentation. As you know, I've been to your events at Youthbuild, and the work you do is just incredibly impressive and extremely important. So I really appreciate that. First, I don't want to forget to ask, do you have any, you asked about, you know, assistance in spreading the word, and I haven't had an updated flyer in some time. Do you have any, you know, flyers available, physical flyers? And I'd be happy to stop by, you know, by there if that's helpful. So I just wanted some information about getting that from you if you have, you know, a stack of those available. And also, I was interested, you know, with the work you're doing too. You said you actually take college tours, you know, with your Youthbuild members, and I was wondering, are they? Do you feel you get enough assistance from the colleges in what they would need financially, you know, to take that step? You had said the North Shore Community College, it's all paid for. So I was curious, you know, is the college, you know, doing that assistance, and are the other colleges, you know, kind of stepping up and giving what you need to assist? You know, there's definitely, you have a highly motivated group, but it's so costly. And I know you had the stipends you talked about and things, but I was just curious about, you know, what you're getting from them for support.
Yeah, so the first question is we have plenty of marketing materials. So you can certainly stop by Youthbuild, or we can drop them off at your office. Whatever is easiest. And I can email the marketing materials out to Councilor Dominguez as well after the meeting, if he to share with the rest of you. And then as far as the colleges, so North Shore Community College is extremely, you know, supportive of young people on their campus, especially for first generational college students through their TRIO program. So any Youthbuild member who goes to North Shore Community College, typically they're a first generation college student, will go through that TRIO support system where they have a case manager on the college with them through their life of school. As far as financial support, so when I was presenting, we pay for the CNA classes, the Youthbuild program. So we pay for the Youthbuild slots in there. Our students don't go for free, but they are coming from homes that don't have a lot of means. So when they do go to North Shore Community College, if they decide to go, or any community college, typically they're going to that school for no cost with financial aid. But, you know, not necessarily free, I guess. And as far as supporting, I think that we recognize that some depends on the school. So there's some schools that are extremely supportive and excited, like when we come on a tour. And then there's other ones that kind of look at it sideways, like your students would never go to college here. But I think that's their own issues that they have to work through. And we go on those tours anyways, because we want to, you know, break that gap and say, you know what, our young people can go to this school one day. But Salem State is not one of those schools. So you should know that. Salem State right here in Salem, they're extremely supportive in a number of ways. We actually use their campus quite a bit. They let us use their classroom to teach college readiness classes pre-COVID. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's good to hear about Salem State. Thank you. And I'll stop by for some material.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Michael, for coming and giving this presentation to us, and just for the really important work that you're doing in our community. I think it's, you know, our youth tend to be some of the most vulnerable members of our community, and they're also people who have the most incredible potential. So it's hard to overstate how important the work you do is. I just wanted to ask real big picture, what is sort of the greatest challenge that your program is facing right now, whether it's the program itself or your youth, and, you know, where people can kind of get on right away if they want to help out?
Well, I would say that me as a director, it's hard to go into the program and see only 9 people enrolled. We have the ability to take in 35 youth a year with the funding that we have through the Department of Labor. And prior to COVID, we'd have a waiting list of about 30 people for those slots. I feel like once we went to remote learning for as long as we did, that flavor and excitement of Youthbuild in our community kind of died with it. So we're in the process of re-engaging the community and building up that excitement about our program to get more young people through the door. So that's one of our biggest challenges. And I think for our young people, which impacts our program, this is a big picture challenge because recruitment's going to work itself out. We always meet our numbers. It's the fact that a lot of our youth are homeless. They're impacted by housing instability. That's either they don't have a place to go to at all, or they're dealing with couch surfing. And so, with the supports out there being as limited as they are, it's really hard to be successful in any setting if you don't have a home to go to. So for us, it's really making sure that we are connecting with as many people as possible who have those services, because that's the reality for a lot of our young people right now is housing instability.
Anybody else? I'm Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, let me say that was a great presentation. I enjoyed it immensely, and you learned a valuable lesson early on. Listen to your wife.
That's right.
It's taken me 20-something years to figure that one out. All that being said, I happen to be on the other end of it. I was, like yourself, I was able to go to a high school, and I was able to go to college, and then I went back into the trades. When I worked my way through high school, my father was a contractor. I was fortunate enough to be able to get into college, graduated from college, and then I went back to work. One of the easiest votes I took years ago was to fund the Essex Tech, because a lot of people. There was a lot of money back then. It was a big investment. We were coming out of a period of which the finances in the city weren't probably as good as they have been recently, but we took on that challenge. And I will say, from being someone who's in the trades and seeing the diversity in the trades, but also the disparity amongst older gentlemen like myself who happen to be in the trades and the younger generation. There isn't a lot of people coming into the trades. And when you look at like the average age of a plumber, in the state of Massachusetts is like over 60 years old.
Wow.
And some of these guys are making real good money, but and I'm not a plumber. I probably would, but probably if I had to do it all over again, I would have been a plumber and electrician or something. I'm not really sure about it. Anyway, but it is very important for people to understand that, I sat on the turnaround committee on the Salem High School years ago, when there was some issues with performance at the high school, and we talked about the mission statement. And back then I was pretty adamant about, the mission statement for the high school is how do you train somebody for life, as opposed to, it's not all about, you need to train them for life, prepare them if they decide to go to college or if they decide to do something else. And you want to give them every opportunity to make those choices and to succeed. But at the same time, they also have to realize that there is a lot of potential in the trades, and it can help a lot of people out, especially if you use the trades to leverage yourself to be able to go to a community college and get the degree and then become, work for yourself or go to work for somebody else and get into, construction management or something like that. So I want to give you a ton of credit for what you do. To engage young people is a gift. And you seem to be doing it very well, and I give you a lot of credit. And please let us know what we can do to help. Because that's the biggest thing is if it's just getting the information out there and making people understand, or having those conversations as to how your program can somehow intertwine with some of the stuff they're trying to do at the high school to make, to make it understand that, we want these kids to succeed, that we want them to graduate ultimately. We want them, if it has to be, an equivalency, that it is. But I mean, at the same time, if we can somehow integrate them and allow them to continue to work towards their degree and graduate from high school, because, that's the stepping stone they need to go to the next level. So anything we can do to help. A great presentation. And I give you all the credit in the world for all the work that you do.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. And thanks for sharing all that. It's interesting, the trades are calling us all the time with jobs that are open, which is really nice. But I think that for some of our young people, they sign up thinking they want to do that work, but then when they're outside in the middle of February building a house, and it's freezing out, that's when they realize, maybe I'm going to go to college. It's not for me. But broom construction has been
That's why I have a beard. It's cold.
There you go. Broom construction hires a lot of our graduates, so we're thankful for that. I think Councillor Cohen has a question.
Thank you, Chair Dominguez. Not being a member of the committee, Michael, really great presentation. Long time ago, I used to work with homeless children in Somerville for a really great agency called Shortstop, and innocent victims. And we decided that we would try to develop a program to help them just apply for jobs. It's really a challenge because so many young people who don't have a home, if you're homeless, even if you're in a home and you don't feel safe, you're pretty much homeless, and you have to face challenges that a lot of your peers don't even think about. So I do want to congratulate you. I think it's super important, and I'll stop in and say hi.
Thanks. Yeah, that's for any of you. Thank you so much. Anyone who wants to come see our program, that would benefit our youth tremendously if you came in and shared about who you are, your background, why you are, city politics, what job you do outside of, being a counselor. We'd love to have you. So you could always just reach out.
Councilor Marcelo, raise you and recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions. Michael, this was an excellent presentation. Lots of information here. I knew nothing about this program. I didn't even know it existed, it just surprises me. But can you make sure that we get a copy of your presentation just so that we have it to refer to? And when Councilor Merkel asked about flyers, if you have a digital version of the flyer also, if you could send that, I would love to include that in a newsletter. And then the information about the two programs you have, the construction and the nursing, those are excellent programs. Do you have any plans to expand that into other areas? Do you see any other wants that the kids have or wants that the community is looking for? Yes,
we're always looking to expand. I think we have to see the trends in the industry. Most recently, we started an employer advisory council for Youthbuild. So it's 16 employers from different employment backgrounds. We have, manufacturing, healthcare, construction, consulting, education. I'm probably missing some. The restaurant industry. And so I think for us, it's definitely listening to the young people in the community, but it's also making sure we're doing the research of where the need is. So a big part of the healthcare is, yes, the young people wanted it, but we need to make sure that there were jobs for them when they were done with that training, to make sure we have the funding that would back that up when we asked for funding to develop these programs. So I have something that I want that I've always wanted, but I don't know if it's the direction we're going to go into as an organization. This summer, we are opening up a Youthbuild store on Lafayette Street where the young people are going to go through an entrepreneurship class and learn how to run a business and run the store. So there'll be some customer service training with that, some retail training, and then of course, how to build a business. So they're going to design what we sell in the store. They're going to have the budget, and they're going to decide where the funding goes through once it comes to Youthbuild, what we're going to spend that money on. So it's going to be an intense class and a great opportunity for them. And I think as an organization, we're looking at that storefront and the work we do with the Puto Urban Arts Museum and the partnership that we have with Root to really take a look at customer service and entrepreneurship as possibly another training that we may offer at Youthbuild. Something that I've always been interested in is the automotive industry. When I started working at Quincy Youthbuild, it was in the middle of a recession and there were no jobs in construction at that time. And I just remember for my young people, it was the auto industry that was saving them and giving them jobs that were paying above minimum wage. So I remember young people graduating my program back, I think minimum wage was around $10 or $9. And they were getting hired at $15 an hour to work on cars, and they loved it. And the skills in construction was so transferable that in my heart, it's something that I've always wanted to have at my Youthbuild program. Because another recession could come at any time and you still need to work on cars. So I've always had that in the back of my mind.
Thanks. Just one more question, if I can. The kids that are graduating from the nursing program, are they going on, or is there a percentage of them going on to college to further their nursing credentials?
We've had some who have. And actually, we have one, Brittany Donahue. She just bought a house. She got married recently and bought a house in Plymouth, and she's going back to school to continue on to be a nurse. But we're improving in that area. We just created an MOU with the college. We expanded our MOU with North Shore Community College so that we're doing a better job at talking about stackable credentials and ensuring that our young people stay in college after they finish a CNA class. So it's an area that we're looking to grow in.
Right. Councilor Marco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, one other thought too. I remember attending a couple of events at Youthbuild, and when COVID does subside enough that you would have events there again to help, spread the word and get people familiar with what the work you're doing there, please reach out,
Absolutely.
Me and the other counselors know, because like I said, a couple of us have newsletters, social media, whatever, we'd be happy to spread the word. So if you do eventually have anything like that again, please reach out.
Definitely will. Thank you so much.
Councilor Pronowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, first of all, my hat's off to you for the presentation. I've heard of the program. I didn't know much about it. And like Councilor Morcillo, I'm extremely impressed, and also kind of ashamed that we as a community don't know that much about it. And so I hope the word gets spread out. My concern, similar to what Councilor Watson-Feld said, I know that you have a connection with the schools, somewhat of a pipeline. I'm wondering whether you have the same with the juvenile justice system, with the court system, with the juvenile probation, the juvenile diversion program, whether or not there's some kind of a pipeline, or do they know about you? Do they provide you with some resources?
They do. And we remind them of who we are, probably quarterly too, to ensure that relationship stays in place. Because a lot of our young people do come to us with that criminal background or a juvenile background. And so, yeah, we do have a good relationship. We'd love to have more referrals. But, I think the world just slowed down a little bit with COVID, and everybody slowed down in their jobs, and they're kind of all readjusting right now. So when I see the lack of referrals coming in from our agency partners, to me, it's just a matter of time. I think everybody's catching up. And giving presentations like this, we're just reminding the community of the work we do. And I appreciate everybody saying that you enjoyed this presentation tonight, because I can feel in your heart that you're going to share this with people. So with the courts, we have a good relationship. And with the schools, we're improving daily. So thank you.
Anyone else have any questions coming before we open to the public? Before we go to the public, I want to also echo our gratitude to Michael for this great presentation. I have a couple of questions to ask myself. And I know you serve in a very diverse community, the point. And I know in some of the cases, some of the reason why some of the students drop out of school is because sometimes they newcomers from the motherland, they don't master the language. Sometimes they feel they're not appropriate to get any career or to advance to college. In some cases, can you refer, you have that experience before, and what do you do if you come across with one of those students who do not really master the language, but they wanted to get into your program, but what do you do in that case? That's one question I have.
Yeah, so I'll answer that, absolutely. So, I have background working in ESOL prior to working in Youthbuild, and something that I ask for of my staff is, if they struggle to write in the English language, maybe just have them write a paragraph in their own language, because that can give you some insight into like how intelligent they actually are, because you can see how much they're writing. And for us, we have had a lot of experience with young people who've come in with English not as their first language. And quite honestly, that they were really still developing to understand it, to read, to write it, and to speak it. And I think we have systems in place to support that. In some areas, if somebody can't speak the language at all, typically we will have them go, to a class, maybe at Catholic Charities, to work on that, and then bring them into Youthbuild. And we've done that. But we've also, I think we do a good job of just encouraging them to keep practicing, write in your journal. We have a morning journal that we read out loud every day. And we've had students who didn't speak English that well, and they were coming in and not really wanting to share their journal because of the fear of not being accepted. And maybe they ran into that in the past. But I think as they do it and they see people encouraging them and saying, wow, great journal, you read that out loud, you're such a good writer, they just continue to pick up on that momentum of people pouring that love into them, that they start to gain, gain some trust in their own abilities that, I can learn this. I can learn to read and write in English and I'll be fine. So we're open to it. And I think we have the systems in place to support it. And the other part of it is the high set's also offered in Spanish. And so we can encourage a young person, yes, we're gonna help you work on the English language and help you speak it better. But also if you're gonna pass the high set in your own native language, they even offer it in French. And we've actually had a young person take it in French. We're gonna have you do that. And we have books in class that are gonna support that. We have staff at the agency who can help you with that as well. So it's definitely something that we try to work with, and I think we do a good job.
Thank you. My second question is going toward, I don't know if you already mentioned it, but I don't hear you, but what is the job placement percentage that you program might have overall? I mean, what is you, I mean, I know you touch it that they finish the program and they are placed in a job, but what percentage of those students you can say are successful from getting a job?
Yep. So 90% of our students graduate and 100% of them have been placed over the last 3 years, which is something we're really proud of. Overall, it's close to 90% of our young people are placed in the workforce when they leave our program. And the other thing that we do well is we're seeing retention as well at their job when they get hired. So we do have a very high placement rate.
Well, thank you so much. Anyone on the council or have any other comments or questions before we open up to the attendees? At this point, we open up to the public. If anyone in the public would like to have any comments or questions about the program, please raise your hand. I don't see no hand raising from the public, so going back to us again. Any other comments? If no, I would like to hear from one of the members of the committee to make a motion. Councilor Watson-Fail.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn with my many thanks again to Mr. Quigley.
All right, everyone. Bye. Have a great night.
Wait. I think we need to make a motion before adjourn. We need to make a motion. What do we do? What action we take with your presentation? Councilor McCarthy was raising his hand. Maybe to clarify.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the matter remain in committee, and that then we entertain Councilor Watson-Felt's a motion of adjournment. I think that it's important to keep this in committee in case we want to bring them back and have a follow-up, and we can, discharge it at the end of the year if no one has wants to bring any more discussion in. But I think to keep it in committee for right now would probably be the best thing to do.
Anybody second?
Second.
Councilor McCarthy motion, seconded by Councilor Merkel. Let's do a roll call vote. Let's call the members of the committee right now. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor McLean.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Fail.
Yes.
And me, yes. 6 members of the committee, all in favor, we keep it in the committee. Can anybody else, just Councilor Watson-Fail, do you entertain your motion now?
Yes, thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Let's do motion to adjourn by Councilor Watson-Fail, seconded by Councilor McCarthy. Let's all have a roll call vote. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor McLean.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes, with the thank you.
Councilor Watson-Fail.
Yes, thank you.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for this great meeting. Thank you, Michael. Have a good night.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Bye.
Michael.